So I already said we talk about freedom fighters. Do you remember what a freedom fighter is? And what else did we talk about? What do you remember? Do you remember any specific settings? Any pictures that you may have seen while we were reading together? Type in one thing. I'm going to wait for your response and then we're going to jump in to our reading. All right, yes, she sang soul music. Yeah, she sang the blues, and we talked about. You can say that soul music. I like that. Yes, we did talk about that and talked about where it came from. Good. I'm glad you remembered that. And then we listened to her song too. We listened to her song at the end of our reading. So now we're going to get started. Like I said, we started with Miss Fannie Lou. This is our part 2 with Miss Fannie Lou. And after this reading, when we come back in November with one another, because again, Bedtime Bookworms is every other week. And we're always going to meet on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for our next reading, we're going to do a different book for our third reading. But I want to make sure we learn just a couple more things about or from Miss Fannie Lou. So let's move on. This part of the book is called SNCC, SNCC. Those young folks was something else. Most belong to SNCC, SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, what was called SNCC for its initials. The college kids saw me for a leader. I made it plain why I joined the movement. All my life I've been sick and tired. Now I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I toured the South with words from my heart and spirituals I learned at my mother's knee. I fired up many a rally. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. But I wasn't singing for show. I was singing for freedom. Leadership came natural to me as singing. People took to calling me the spirit of the civil rights movement. Who know that song? This little light of mine. Write in the comments if you know that song and if you started to sing it when you started reading those words. This little light of mine. And this is a picture of what the artist feel Miss Fannie Lou looks like to them singing This Little Light of Mine. Remember in our first reading too, we talked about if you wanted to tell somebody something about you and you wanted to do it in song, what would those words be? Or what song would it be? Even if it wasn't your own song, if you couldn't think of the words for your own song, but maybe there's a song you hear on the radio, you hear your parents sing, you've heard at church, you've heard at different places, and you feel that it fits who you are. What song would that be that speaks to who you are or that shows others who you are? So I see some people do remember that song or started singing This Little Might of Mine and do know the song. Running. Not even a bad leg could stop me from standing up for what I believed in. Hard as we have to work for nothing, there must be some way we can change things. There must be something else. There was. Becoming a lawmaker myself. The next year, I ran for Congress in the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. Death threats started to come at me. Soon as I announced I was running. But I didn't scare easy. I meant to prove that anyone, black or white, rich or poor, could get involved in the American politics. I cast my first vote for myself. I have a question. Is there something you believe in so strong that it's important for you to share with others? Like Miss Fannie Lou, she believed in something so strong that she stood up for her belief. She sang for her belief. She was a leader for her belief in front of many people, and she didn't back down. Is there something you believe in? Yes or no? Type in the comments that you believe in so strong that it's important for you to share with others and stand up tall to spread whatever message, whatever words, whatever ideas you have about that thing. Is there anything that important to you? Let us know. I guess for me, as you're letting me know in the comments, for me, I do have probably a few things that I feel are very important that I want to share with everyone. And one of the things that I feel is important is that we're all our unique selves. We're all different, and we're all different, and that's a great thing that we're all different. I think that differences are important in order for all of us to learn, in order for all of us to have fun. Because if all of us were the same, that would be pretty boring, don't you think? If I did everything the same way as you and the next person did everything the same way as you too, isn't that boring? What are we learning? How are we having fun? If we're playing make believe, that means that whatever you think about to imagine for yourself, I'm thinking the same thing. That's a little boring. You could think about one part to imagine, like, let's say you imagine an ice cream truck. Then maybe something else I imagine is clowns. And the more and more with the different ideas we have, the more and more fun we can have with those different ideas. So it's important that we have these differences and that we share these differences. And that's something that's important to me, that I stand up for and that I speak about to whoever I want to speak about it to. So I see some people say, there's somebody to say that something important to them that they share is Christ. That's another. I agree. That's something else that's important to me too. Christ, salvation, sharing the good news about Christ, helping to bring other souls to Christ, helping them to make sure that they know who Christ is and talking to them about that. So that way we plant that seed. So I'm glad that you have something that you stand up for that you believe is very important. I definitely support you with that. And I want you to keep on sharing whatever you feel is very important. Share it with others. The next part of this reading, Freedom Summer. Later that year, I shared stories and songs with student volunteers about what it was like for Black folks in the Delta. After the training, the students set off on a campaign called Freedom Summer. Some be running freedom schools, teaching reading and the right to vote. The Ku Klux Klan killed some of them students. I knew Michael Schwerner and James Chaney real well. They were murdered along with Andrew Goodman for nosing into church firebombs. If I had known that those young men would wind up dead, I would have told them to stay home. I cried like I lost my own sons. I could take losing the election, but not this. Still, I had to go on. At a government hearing in Washington, D.C., I spoke about my struggles and how we started a new political party in Mississippi because the regular Democrats locked us out. We weren't going to be locked out no more. So we talk more with this particular reading about freedom. Everything that we read so far was about freedom and different ways for us to express and value and to ensure that we do have freedom, whether that's standing up for what we believe is important, whether that's not giving up, whether that's making sure that our voices are heard with however way we feel through song, through art, through just speaking, whatever it is. Can you think of any ways, let's say this weekend or this week, that you've acted in a way of making sure that you're being heard? Have you? Have you, whether it's at school, at home, whoever it is you maybe have come in contact with, whether that was via online schooling, whether it was a neighbor, whether you have gone back to school? Are there any ways or any conversations or any activities you've had at school or home where you showed that freedom was important, that your voice was important, and you didn't back down from saying or doing what you know you needed to do? Let us know in the comments. As you're letting us know about your ways of supporting freedom and standing up for freedom, I'm going to think about some ways that I did that as well this weekend or even these last few days. So for me, because I thought of mine before you got to me. So for me, I was at work. I was at work, and just like you guys are at school and you have classmates, well, I'm at work and I have a team that I work with. And so, my team, which are kind of like my classmates, there was a situation that we heard about. And when I first heard it, I had to think about it before I could respond to it because I did not know how to respond. And then after I understood the situation a little bit better, I knew that it was important for me to speak up within my team about how I felt about the situation. And I made sure that they understood how I felt. I was very clear in how I worded it to my entire team. I made sure that everybody that was on my team, and it's five of us, so I made sure all five heard me. And when I expressed myself, I was respectful to them. I was very clear in how I felt. And not only did I explain how I felt, I was very clear on why I felt that way. And I gave them examples in order to make sure that they understood what I was saying and why I was saying it. And I do that often whenever I know I need to speak up in order to make change happen, especially if it's important. Like we talked about, you guys mentioned that one of the things that's important to you is speaking about Christ. And I mentioned how it's important to me to make sure we all celebrate our differences, how it's important that we are different. So whenever I can, as I said, I make sure that I speak up and I use my voice and I'm respectful with how I speak up, but I'm very clear in how I feel and why I feel that way. And for me, I like to give maybe an example to help those who are listening to me better understand my point of view. So are there any ideas that you want to share that you may have experienced where you have stood up and you were very clear to make sure that you voiced yourself? If so, maybe you can tell us what that was, if it's a certain word or phrase that can help you explain it. Is it bullying? Is it a certain story that you were really, um, that was really important to you? Is it about saving cats, the environment? What's something you've spoken about recently and made sure your voice was heard? As you're thinking about it, take a look at the picture of Miss Hammer. Speaking of strong, proud and strong about freedom and what it means to have freedom, what it means to have a voice and to vote in order to show your voice. I know you guys may have been hearing a lot about voting because we have to vote for our next president really soon. It's really important that we get out there and we practice our right to freedom. And that's by voting. That's one way. Voting, making sure your voice, your opinion is heard and received. As you guys are thinking about the things that we read tonight, this right here on the screen that you see is the back of the book. This is our last time that we're going to read this information here about Miss Fannie Lou Hammer. And I really hope that you're able to purchase this book whenever. Maybe it can be on your next birthday wish list or your next Kwanzaa wish list or whatever it might be, Christmas wish list, New Year wish list, or just because wish list. But this is a really good book and it has many, many different pieces of stories dealing with Miss Fannie Lou Hammer's life that you can learn a lot from and have some fun with as well. So, the back of the book gives a brief little summary, some things we've already discussed before. And I'm going to read it really quick before I get to the comments. The youngest of 20 children born to sharecroppers. We remember reading that. That was our first reading. We read about her siblings. We talked about sharecroppers and what that means. And she was born in the Mississippi Delta. Fannie Lou Hammer grew up to become a hero of the civil rights movement. She participated in marches, sit-ins, and voter education training. Malcolm X called her the country's number one freedom fighting woman. And in 1964, she ran for elective office 3 times. Voice of Freedom, this book, celebrates Fannie Lou Hamer's life and legacy in inspiring words and vibrant artwork. Please definitely feel free to share this information with your parent, your guardian, your favorite cousin, the older cousin, that is, because they the ones that can purchase the book, whoever you can, to see if you can get this book and read through it. Maybe you guys can read it as a family, take a page or two, just like we do. We probably do 2 to 3 pages together during our bedtime bookworms to read and talk about. So see if someone can put this down on the list and surprise you one day with a nice gift of this book and enjoy it. And I see that some of you are saying you stood up to bullies before. That's good. And now you have no more. That takes a lot of courage to stand up to bullies. And I'm glad that you felt strong and you stood up for bullies. And I want to make sure that whenever you do have a situation where you feel bullied or you see others being bullied, not only is it important to stand up for yourself and for others, but you get an adult involved. Always make sure that you use your voice. Again, you're using your voice against the bully to make sure that they understand that this is not okay, but tell an adult as well for help, for support, so that way that adult can help you and those involved, including the bully themselves. Because most times when people bully you, they're bullying because they're hurt themselves. Hurt people hurt people. If you guys haven't heard about that before, ask one of the adults in your house. What does it mean when you hear hurt people hurt people? And that's kind of a brief little explanation of bullies, but I'm glad that you feel comfortable and you've got the courage to stand up to a bully. Keep doing it. Keep standing up for what is right. But again, make sure you let an adult know. It's important that adults around you, your teachers, your uncles, your aunts, your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, whoever it is, cousin, sister, brother, let them know because you need supports. You need to make sure people around you who love you and know you are aware of the situations so that way they can help the situation get better or go away. As we get ready to leave each other this evening, our next bedtime bookworms will be on Tuesday, November 3rd. So that's not next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we have a break. Remember, every other week. So we started on October 6th. Then that Tuesday after, we did not meet. And then the Tuesday after that, which is today, we are meeting. And then next Tuesday, we will not meet. But the Tuesday after that, which is November 3rd, we will meet again at 7 p.m., same place, same time here on Facebook Live. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's reading. We're going to start a whole new reading on our next bedtime bookworms. Let me grab the book really quick. All right, I had to remember the name of the book. So this book that we're going to start reading is called Trapped in a Video Game. So this should be really fun with this book. And this book is a chapter book or a novel. And we're going to break it down in different parts. And we'll have a new reader with us. So when we do bedtime bookworms, yes, I will read to you sometimes, but then we'll have some guest readers. And then we'll have some readers who will consistently rotate readings with us. So our next reading on November 3rd, we'll start a new book here on Facebook Live at 7 p.m. Make sure you tell your parents and whoever else helps you to log into Facebook during this time. And whenever you miss one of our readings by accident, we will make sure that we upload the recording to our YouTube page, and you can find our YouTube page information on our Facebook page. So again, on Tuesday, November 3rd at 7 p.m., we will be Facebook living again. And what we will do, we will start on a new book called Trapped in a Video Game. So it was great reading to you guys today. I hope you guys enjoy, and I look forward to our next reading. And in the meantime, stay safe, continue to stand up for freedom, continue to voice your who you are and how you feel and what's important, but always do it respectfully and always stand strong. Until next time, take care and have a great night.